Hi there. As a private person and a friend to many foreigners, I've decided to record a short video and show you that filling out an application form for granting temporary residence permit on the basis of studies is nothing difficult and you can do it yourself. I've heard that few of my foreign friends had a really bad experience with quasi-representatives, people that were supposed to lead them through their legal processes, but left them with incomplete application forms and negative decisions. It is unfair to say that most of the attorneys act this way. However, since I heard about such cases, I've decided to record this video and show you how to fill out an application form in a correct way, what sort of required and substantial documents should go with it. So let us start. So that's the application form. The form should consist of 12 pages, as you see right here. The application form should be filled out in Polish because that's our administrative language. All of the boxes, places right here should be filled out in capital Latin letters. So let us start. At the top right corner, you would have to write the exact date when you're submitting your application form and the place. In our case, that's Warsaw. Of course, all the data given here are just samples. I made up names, data of that imaginary foreigner. Remember to fill out your own personal data so all of them could be correct and go through. So here the date and the place where you're submitting and when you're submitting application form. Right here we have a place for your pictures. Pictures should be like these. You would have to submit 4 of those pictures. I advise you to make those pictures at the professional photographer because then you make sure that the pictures will be good to your application form. So right here, to whom we address this application form, we address it at Mazovia Governor. In this case, we would have to write do Wojewody Mazowieckiego, as it's written down here. So yeah, the first section relates to your personal data. So the first point is surname, then your previous names. If you had no previous names, then you would have to write not applicable. In Polish, it's nie dotyczy. Then the family name, you'd have to write it here, and all of your names. In the places where you leave free spaces, just write that minuses, so there will be no doubt that you left it intentionally. And again, here we have your previous names. If you had some previous names, of course, you would have to write them right here. If that's not applicable, just write nie dotyczy. Here's your father's name. So you'd have to write your father's name on the next page. We have a place for your mother's name and your mother's maiden name, maiden surname. Here is the date of your birth, not your mother's. I know that foreigners sometimes confuse this because here was the question about your mother, but this date relates to your own personal data. Here, they ask about your sex. If you're a male, then you would have to put a letter M, which stands for mężczyzna in Polish. If you're a woman, that you'd have to then you'd have to put the letter K, which stands for kobieta, which means a woman in Polish. Here you'd have to put the place of your birth, the country of your birth, your nationality, citizenship, then your marital status. I presume if you're a student, you're probably not married. So if you're a single male, then you're kawaler in Polish. If you're a single woman, then you're panna. Yep. So the next question is related to your education. If you're applying your form at the time when you just finished high school, then you have a middle education degree, which is średnie in Polish. If you're already after your BA, then you're having your higher degree, which means wyższa. Just put respectively as it is according to your own personal data. Here is the question about your description, physical description. And here's the question of your height, the color of your eyes. In our case, we put blue, which is niebieskie. For other colors, please check with your Polish friends or people that could translate those data for you. You can also aid yourself with a Google Translator. If you have brown, then you'd have to put brązowe, and so on, so on. Here is a question about your special marks. So for instance, if you have any tattoos or any dots on your face, then you'd have to put it right here. Also, if you have some disabilities that are visible and recognizable, then you'd have to put them right here. If there is no such things in your case, then you'd have to write like brak, which means not applicable in Polish. Then there is a question of your personal identification number, which is PESEL. If you don't have your PESEL number at the time when you're submitting your form, nothing bad happens. You just write brak. You can always apply for your personal number to your community authority whenever you have time. But at the time of submitting your form, it's not requested. Then there's a place for your phone number and your email address. Make sure that this is correct in your case, because the department may try to reach you, may try to reach out to you or contact you in some important issues related to your application form. So make sure that all of the data that you provide here is correct. On the next page, we have a question about your residence address in Poland. So fill out respectively. The voivodeship is of course Mazowieckie, then the place where you live in that region, your street name, the number of your house, the number of your apartment, and a postal code. Since the application is for continuing or starting your studies, then the purpose of your stay is number 5. You would have to tick it right here. Then the next page asks whether there are any other members of your family in Poland. If it's not applicable in your case, then you would have to make Z like this, that it's crossed out and, well, you don't have any relatives living, assisting you in Poland. Here in this section, you would have to write down the year, the purpose of your stay, and for how long, the duration of your stay, and on which basis you've been to Poland previously. So for instance, if you've been to Poland more than just at one time, just please write it down. So on the next page, there is a question if you're currently staying on the territory of Poland. Of course, you would have to tick yes. Then the last date when you arrived to Poland and on which basis. So if that's under the visa-free regime, you'd have to tick number 1. If that's on the basis of visa, then you'd have to tick number 2. And, well, if you already have a temporary residence permit, it would have to be number 3. And 4, if you have a document entitling you to entry Poland issued by other Schengen member state. If there's another way you entered Poland, you would have to make number 5 and then specify what sort of legal basis you had and which allowed you to enter the country. Right here, you would have to write all of the foreign travels you had in the last 5 years. So just write a year and a country which you visited. Then the next question is, what are your means of subsistence? That is, what are your financial resources that help you to maintain here in Poland? If you're a student, you're more likely maintained by your parents. So na utrzymaniu rodziców means that you're maintained by your parents. If that's the case in your application, then please write it down as it is written down here. The next question relates to the information about your medical insurance. You might have a private insurance, so please write it down in Polish that you're an owner, the user of polisa ubezpieczeniowa, which is private insurance. On the next page, we have questions whether you have any troubles with law in Poland. If that's not the case, to the first question, you would have to write no, and then respectively, if you haven't been sentenced by the court in the territory of Poland, and you had no proceedings or pending proceedings because of not acting accordingly to the law, then you would have to just tick no to all of those boxes. If it's otherwise in your own individual case, then you would have to specify to these questions what sort of legal situations you have here. But in most of the cases, it's no's. Then on the page number 7, you would have to put your signature, the signature that you're using for signing a contract, the signature that you're basically identifying yourself with. This sample will appear on your card when you receive a positive decision. Then the next page and the last page you would have to fill out to submit your form is, again, to write down the date, the exact date when you're submitting your form, and right here you'd have to write all of the joints of your name and surname. Below you can add your short signature, the one that you put on the previous page. And here, please remember to write down all the specify what sort of the attachment you submitted with your application. And right here, let me show you what sort of documents should go with your application. The application form should be submitted in 2 forms. So please write that you submitted the application form in 2 copies, then 2 copies of your passport. You would have to photocopy all of the stamped pages in your passport and a page with your personal data. There is no need to print all of the pages in your passport, just the ones that are stamped and the one with your personal data. So the copy passport has to be in 2 copies. Then again, 4 pictures like these. You would have to provide also the confirmation that you paid for the administrative fee, so-called duty stamp, and in the case of this application is 340 zloty. You can bring that confirmation, and there are two ways. If you paid for that application via your bank, then you'd have to bring a confirmation from your bank, just the confirmation that you paid the transfer. Or if you paid for that application form at governor's office, then you would have to bring that confirmation, which is given to you at the cash counter after payment is made. You would have to bring the confirmation that you've been accepted for the studies, and for that document you would have to refer to Students' Affairs Office at your university. You would have to bring also the information how much you pay for your studies at that university and the confirmation that you paid for that semester, for that year that you'll be studying. You also have to bring the confirmation that you have a insurance. So for that document, you would have to refer to your insurance agency. You would also have to bring the lease contract that you sign with your landlord. This contract should consist of the information, what are the costs of exploitative costs related to your rental, and how much you pay monthly for the apartment. You would also have to bring the bank statement that you have enough financial resources to maintain yourself during the term of your stay in Poland. You would either have to bring that bank statement with the right amount of money that it is required, or the confirmation that is signed by your parents that they will provide you with required resources so you could basically maintain yourself while residing in Poland. The last document that should be in your application form submitted together with your application form is the confirmation that you are aware of criminal liability, and all of the links to the forms that are required together with that legal liability awareness is given in a post to that video, so you can find it in a easy accessible way. And again, you would have to put your signature, so there is no doubt that you're aware of what you've written down here. What I advise to do is basically to take picture of every single page that you fill out, so there is no doubt that eventually you will get a call that you did not submit something. You have the confirmation that you did that. Also, please take the pictures of all of the documents that you submit with your application forms, so you make sure that you did your part, and in cases that the department calls you to bring something additionally, you can prove that you already submitted the document. So that's pretty all about the application form. Just to visualize, the confirmation from your university should look like this. The link to that form, that very same form, is given to the post to this video. Your private insurance confirmation should more or less look like this. This is just a sample. In this case, that's the provider PZU, but of course, bring it the one that you have. You'd have to contact your insurer and bring that confirmation to the office. And the confirmation, the statement from your bank, has to be given from your bank, so you just have to bring similar confirmation from your bank signed by the authorized person from the bank that you have that or this amount of money. So when to submit an application form, you have to do this. Well, the last call for you to submit an application form is on the last day of your legal stay. So for instance, if today is the last day according to the visa that has been given to you, or according to visa-free traffic, you would have to submit an application form today to the Mazovia Governor's Office. If you haven't registered via the online registration and you don't have an appointment on the right time, then don't panic. Just send the application form with all required and necessary documents to the Mazovia Governor's Office Department of Foreigners, and your application will be submitted on time. So if you did not make an appointment at the department, don't panic, just send it via traditional post on the right address to Marszałkowska. Of course, the link to the online registration is given to the post to this video. And yeah, if there is any other questions, you can leave it in the comment below to that video. And if I will have time, of course, I will be happy to reply to those questions. But only if I have time, because I just do it in a lockdown, so I have that spare time to do this. But, well, I'll try my best to reply eventually if you have any of questions. I hope that video helps. I don't like when someone takes the advantage over my friends, and since filling out an application and submitting it is really easy, I've decided to show you how to do this, because I can only imagine that if I were in a foreign country myself, I'll be very thankful for such little help. So well, if karma comes back, then maybe something good is there awaiting for me. Anyways, that's all, and thank you for viewing it.